It's special for me today as board chair to recognize really the bridge from an amazing leader that we're honoring tonight to the individual who will build on that record of achievement. First, I want to thank some people who are really important and who made tonight especially possible. Our lead sponsors for tonight's event, Northern Trust, my good friend Kelly Dibble, and Google, represented, I don't know that Chanel Hardy, who is a board member of the Joint Center, is here, but let's give Google a hand as well. And I know that some other board members of the Joint Center are here. I've seen Brian Dixon, let's see, I saw Jason, Ashley, and I believe that is all. And of course, if I miss somebody, that's the reason you don't start doing these things, for fear of missing anyone. But anyway, thank you all for being here, of course. And I also want to note that our immediate past board chair, Barbara Johnson, is here, there she is. I saw her. And also, Margaret Sims, who played a role on our search committee but was interim president of the Joint Center, is also here, and I think this is especially important opportunity to recognize her. Thank you, Margaret. From the cheap seats out there. You know, I also want to really kind of just take a moment to say that we're all here to celebrate, give thanks, and honor Spencer Overton with the Joint Center's Louis E. Martin Award. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the award, and the previous honorees, I think, kind of tell a story about the Joint Center, its mission, and the continued need for America's Black think tank. For those of you who don't know, Louis E. Martin was one of the founders of the board member of the Joint Center and its first board chair, and he was fond of calling people a great American, as the award is called in reference to that. And we're also really so grateful to have last year's recipient of the award, Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who I've seen and is somewhere nearby. There she is, yes. Yes, and so much effort went into the work to get Dr. Cook nominated and confirmed, and the Joint Center is really one of the leading voices in that, and the connectedness, sort of, when you hear the terms Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, you know, so much of the work that we've been doing related to the four key pillars of our work: administration and congressional staff diversity, economic policy, workforce policy, tech policy. But so much of that work, I think, was reflected in the push to get Dr. Cook confirmed, and the great work we see her doing every day, as she is absolutely a voice at the table for our community. Other luminaries over the years, you can see on here, of the award have been members of Congress, state and local elected leaders, civil rights icons, cabinet members, cultural leaders, and past and possibly future presidents of the United States. The choice for this year's honoree was not really difficult, but I'll also say there was a day when it may not have actually been possible. Spencer Overton's professionalism, commitment to impeccable scholarship, astute political sense, and passion for the cause is truly extraordinary. But it really is what he did to keep the Joint Center alive that really may be his greatest legacy. It may not be fun to talk about, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge how much Spencer did in partnership with Barbara Johnson when she was chair at the Joint Center's lowest moments to pull the organization out of the financial ditch that it was in and put it on a path toward greater success. We have a clearly defined mission. We're doing critical program work. We've bolstered the roles we play in the civil rights movement, leading with content and convening. It's a special thrill for me, really, to see Spencer get the recognition he so deserves, and that our new president, Dedrick Asante-Muhammad, presents him with the Louis E. Martin Award, bridging our storied past and our exciting future. So let me now have our new president, Dedrick, come on up, give remarks, and present the award. Dedrick. Thank you.
All right, everyone, thanks again for coming out. It's an honor to stand before you tonight as the new president of the Joint Center for Political Economic Studies. This evening, we gather under the theme of heritage and hope, a fitting tribute to the Joint Center's rich history and our bright future. Before we delve into reflections and aspirations, I would like to take a moment to recognize someone who's been instrumental in guiding us through our pivotal times. Our former interim president and current vice president of policy, Jessica Fulton. Jessica has been both a solid backbone of the organization, and when asked, even if it's not her favorite task, has been willing to be the front-facing leader for the organization. Jessica's been with us for over 6 years and want to thank for all of her years of service for the Joint Center. And now we'll hear a few words from Jessica.
This is heavy. Thank you. I will be very brief because I know we're really here to honor Spencer. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you for thinking of me. Was that Dr. Sims? Yeah. Thank you for thinking of me. I feel very odd that I have a lot of bosses in this room right now. And I'm just kind of running around making sure that, that I'm showing up in the right ways. I really want to thank the Joint Center team. You guys really showed up. I'm not gonna cry, so I'm not gonna look at you. You guys really showed up during the interim period, and I think I'm just very grateful and feel very privileged to work with folks who are willing to jump in and do whatever it takes to get the work done. So just thank you all. Thank you, Spencer, for making sure that we had the kind of processes that led to us having great people working for the Joint Center. Yeah, thank you. All right.
You know, I think that's another aspect of the legacy I'm looking forward to further exploring and promoting. So many great people have come through the Joint Center, you know, and gone on to do great things. And so as I reflect on the past 7 months, I'm filled with immense pride and gratitude for the work Joint Center has produced during my brief tenure. Our research team, led by Dr. LaShonda Brenson, Dr. LaShonda Brenson has kept a spotlight on the need to continue to advance Black representation in congressional staff. Our Pathway Staff Diversity and Senate Personal Offices report was cited in over 70 different publications, highlighting the work that still needs to be done, highlighting that in 2023, African Americans accounted for over 2.1% of Senate top staff and just 5.4% of Senate Pathway staff, though we're about 14% of the American population. African Americans are 14% of the American population. Our director of tech, Danielle Davis, it's Danielle? Actually, right here, right in front of me. Highlighted with her report, Empowering Black Communities, the essential role of the Affordable Connectivity Program in enhancing digital equity. And though Congress decided not to continue funding the Affordable Connectivity Program, we continue to stand as a leader in an effort to ensure accessible high-speed internet for all. Our largest programmatic team, Workforce Policy, is led by Dr. Kayla Elliott. Where's Kayla? There's Kayla right there. Recently, Workforce has produced the report, Policy Strategies to Improve Job Quality for Black Workers and Sector Partnership Programs, written by Justin. Where's Justin? Justin right there. That points toward the need for program outcomes to be disaggregated by race to be able to better identify best outcomes for all groups. So, you know, again, this is a sample of some of the work that's been happening just over the past few months. But, you know, during my time at Joint Center, I've had plenty of conversations with funders and supporters asking me how the Joint Center is going to reimagine itself in the context of the all-out attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. My response has been fairly simple and to the point. There's really no pivot from over 50-year heritage of the organization as being America's Black think tank, and our mission to provide compelling and actionable policy solutions to eradicate persistent and evolving barriers to the full freedom of Black people in America. Our Black-centered mission is as important and necessary as ever. In fact, now is the time to advance greater progress at a more rapid rate than ever before, which will require a stronger and more dynamic Joint Center than ever before. Just want to note that recently I visited the Joint Center archives at Duke University, and I want to note that Spencer had the foresight to recognize that a historic organization like Joint Center shouldn't have its archives just in an attic somewhere, but it should really be organized and collected by a research institution like Duke with archivists. And it really helped me see the importance of the work that we've been doing since 1970 of supporting black leaders transitioning from civil rights activism to the political sphere. In 2025, we're going to build on this by adding dedicated staff to manage relationships with policymakers at all levels. And we're going to ensure our research and recommendations reach decision makers and lead to challenges benefiting black communities. Another area that was kind of inspired by looking at this history was recognizing that we need to deepen our institutional partnerships. And so many of you are representative of our institutional partnerships. And we're going to look to work closely with black organizations, advocacy groups, and academic institutions. By combining our expertise, we'll tackle emerging issues and drive progress more effectively. And finally, I just want to note that Paul always says that we do two things. We do content and convenings, and I'm really excited about this convening and the type of people in this room. And there's so much history, actually, of so many things coming out of Joint Center convenings. I've heard, out of kind of side meetings that inspirations for Congressional Black Caucus came out of side meetings, inspiration for the National Association of Black Journalists, so just bringing powerful people together can really have a powerful effect of building the long-term institutions, which is the type of long-term work that Joint Center is dedicated to. So let's finally get to the reason why we're all here, to give the 20th anniversary of the Lewis Martin Award. Tonight we honor our president, our past president, Spencer Overton. So Spencer, could you please come on up? And I don't know if Spencer remembers this, but I used to work at the NAACP with Ben Jealous, and the first time I met Spencer, Ben was like, okay, this guy, he's going to really try to, rebuild the Joint Center for Political Economic Studies. It's really important. Had a brief opportunity to meet him then and didn't know that years later I would get to kind of walk in his shoes as the next president. And I always tell everyone, I'm so glad I came to Joint. It would have been very challenging for me to come to Joint Center when Spencer came. I wanted to come after, Spencer came. After Spencer moved the organization from being in deficit to having multi-million-dollar assets to being at a point where we really rebuilt the foundation of Joint Center, which is research and analysis. So again, Spencer, thank you so much for all your work, and really excited to give you the 20th anniversary of the Lewis E. Martin Award. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, it's a picture, my fault.
Get this up here before Dr. Sims says anything. So thank you so much, Dedrick. Appreciate it. Moved by this award. This is a tough and demanding time in terms of our nation. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. Thanks also for putting up with the various emails sent by the Joint Center, over the years, as well as the numerous emails that some of you may be receiving from me in my personal capacity recently here, right? So today I want to thank some folks, and I want to close with a few points that are on my mind right now. Our work at the Joint Center has always been a team effort here. I need to start with my immediate family. Leslie, my wife, thank you so much for your support through the years. Leslie is a partner at a big antitrust law firm, and while some other law firm partners have spouses who stay at home and support them, Leslie hasn't had that, right? She's partnered with me in working with our boys and dealing with household issues like taxes. She initially encouraged me to jump in and work to restore the Joint Center, so just thank you so much, Leslie. Appreciate your encouragement. I need to thank my parents, who fortunately are both here, Mildred and Sterling Overton, as well as my sister. My sister's Dr. Cynthia Overton. So they've always been with me, whether it's my mother ordering Joint Center banners online back when we didn't have anything, or my parents picking up chicken in Selma, Alabama for a Joint Center event, or my sister, Cynthia, helping me find a staffer when our future was unclear as an organization here. So since childhood, they've always stepped up for me. I just appreciate your investment in me. Thank you very much. So, have to thank my GW family. Our ability to restore the Joint Center stemmed directly from the fact that some GW faculty members understood the significance of the Joint Center and gave me flexibility to focus on it. At one time, my GW office was the mailing address for the Joint Center here, right? And there are too many to name, but I'll definitely start with Dean Dana Bowen Matthew. I think the Dean is here, yep, definitely. Karen Brown, Roger and Lisa Fairfax. Roger's now the Dean of Howard Law School here, yeah. My friend Jeremy Bearer-Friend here. Jeremy, thank you so much. Chris Bracey, and I'm also going to have to acknowledge Lisa Bornstein, who's a new executive director of the Multiracial Democracy Project. Lisa, all right. Okay. So we got to thank the Joint Center family, and you've heard from many of them. I got to start off with, Jessica Fulton, who's been just so key in terms of so many things and stepping up to the plate. Barbara Johnson, Paul Thornell here, Dedrick Asante-Muhammad, J.P. Austin, Renisha Bess, Paula Boyd, LaShonda Brinson, Latasha Brown, Daniel Davis, Daniel Dean Ryan, Brian Dixon, Kayla Elliott, Lynn English, Joseph Getachow, Jason Grimay, Dominique Harrison, Chanel Hardy, Marlissa Hudson, Victoria Johnson, Ken Jones, Fatu Kecha, and thank you so much for putting this together in terms of organizing it. Very, very great job here. Ashley Lewis, Justin Nally, Diane Penderhughes, Margaret Sims, Kim Victor, Takia Warden, Tony Williams, Jerry Williams, many others who are too numerous to name. Let me just stop and pause here for a moment. Where is Jerry? Where is Jerry Williams? Jerry, where are you? Okay, Jerry is over here. So, Jerry, I am also just deeply appreciative of the mentoring and the friendship of Eddie Williams. You both have always been so supportive and so gracious to me. Just really appreciate it immensely. Thank you very, very much, Jerry. Eddie is also a recipient of this award here. So the philanthropic community has been essential here. Edward Jones, I think, was here from AbbVie. Edward, thank you so much. Leslie Bassier and Kit Judge, are you all here? Okay, from Annie Casey. Okay, Leslie. Gene Bordowich and Daniel Stieg. Yep, they are here. We're key here at Hewlett. Winnie Chin and Sean Raymond were wonderful and appreciative and continue to work with them. I think that they are here. Mark Harris, Allison Northrup, and many others. Got to thank the civil rights community, great allies, Judith Brown Dienis, Ron Busby, John Britton, Eddie Hales, David Johns. David was here. I think I saw David. David Johns. Oh, yeah, you're here. Okay, you got your spot. Laura McLeary, Deborah Mack, Janice Mathis, Laura Murphy is here, I know, Elsie Scott, Patrice Willoughby, many others here. Our friends in government thought that black research, analysis, and voices were important to hear. We've been more relevant, more credible because they take the time to return our phone calls, speak at our events, and otherwise engage. Hazine Ashby, Myra Caesar, Assistant Secretary Mark Kalan, who I saw a little earlier, Governor Lisa Cook, Vince Evans, Jamie Fleet, Congressman Glenn Ivey, Commissioner Kristen Johnson, Narda Jones, Rita Jo Lewis, Cisha Joy Moon, Jamila Thompson, and Stephanie Sykes, I know Stephanie was here, are just a few. So So many friends in DC have helped us navigate things. Algernon Austin, Elena Beverly, Roxanne Blackwell, Paul Brathwaite, Lauren Burke, Kelly Dibble, Tasha Cole, Marita Coley, Muriel Cooper, Laquita Honeysucker, Mark Littlejohn, Marcus Mason, Kim Mealy, who I saw here, Gary Officer, thank you for your mentorship and your friendship, Jesse Price, Nicolai Corte, Lynette Rawlings, who's here, Shrishina Thomas, Nicole Venable, Elliot Williams, who I came over here with on the Metro, and Darlene Young here, Darlene Young. So want to obviously thank God as well, certainly for helping us have some good outcomes, but also personally for giving me purpose and meaning through the experience of rebuilding the Joint Center, Donald. It's been really important, so thank you. Now, kind of closing thoughts here. I think very best award ceremonies and memorial services are not about celebrating one person. Instead, they're about an opportunity to get together with people of similar values and for all of us to be reaffirmed and renewed in who we are and what we believe. You know, these gatherings are an opportunity for us to be re-energized in going out and doing the work that we've been called to do. So in this time, when the future of DEI, the Voting Rights Act, and even the rule of law in our nation is uncertain, I want to reiterate, emphasize 4 points. I think they're important to say. You may disagree with them. That's fine. That's okay here, Ike. I'm not suggesting that you were going to disagree with them, Ike. I didn't. First, Black institutions are important. You know? Elsie Scott, as Black folks, we need to support Black institutions. We need our allies to support Black institutions. We need philanthropy to support Black institutions. Strong Black institutions are important for various reasons that are too numerous, Donald, for us to detail here, but a few. They're great training ground for talent. They allow Black people to exercise agency and voice. They allow for broader policy debates that are richer and more complete and allow for better policy. Black institutions are important. Second, racial diversity in political appointments is something that's important. You know? Now, while I'm always going to say they can do better, right? That's my talking point, right? The Biden cabinet and judicial appointments are really historically diverse, right? We've got to celebrate that. That's a big, big deal, right? Future presidents should not be held to a different standards, regardless of the racial background of the president or of the Speaker of the House, right? We're not going back has got to mean that we won't move forward with a less diverse cabinet or a less diverse judiciary or a less diverse top congressional staff here, right? So we got to just kind of keep our eyes on the prize in terms of that issue, Antoinette. Third, this is going to be controversial, Kelly. It's going to get me in trouble. You ready? The private sector is important. Those of us who believe in inclusion should not write off the private sector as though they have an agenda to always undermine us. I understand the skepticism. The exploitation of many of our ancestors, right, came directly from an American profit motive to undercut China and India in cotton production, right? I get it. I understand that exploitation here and that history. But right now, companies, just like governments, they're the playing field, right? We can't write them off. We have to compete in those places. Fortune 500 companies alone represent 2/3 of our gross domestic product in the United States, and their policies affect millions of Black people. So whether that's their commitment to inclusive employment and contracting policies, whether that's responsible content moderation policies here or various other policies. They're policies, Roger Fairfax, that we can't move in Congress or Southern legislatures that we can possibly move in companies. And we need allies inside of these companies to help us, to tell us the tools they need from us as outsiders, right? So they can make the best case for us on the inside of these companies here, right? Fourth, and finally, Black folks have an important role to play in leading us toward a multiracial, pluralistic democracy and economy. Yes, we want fairness for Black folks, Monica, right? Yes, Black Lives Matter, Joe. Yes, Black voices need to be at the table. Those are all, I agree 100%. But we also need to play a leadership role in terms of fairness for all and in terms of advocating for fair and inclusive systems. We have a special moral, political, and intellectual standing as a result of our experiences since the founding of this nation. And we can use that stature, we can use that to advocate for ourselves, and that's fine, right? But we can also use it for others and to create something new for the future. I know this is controversial in terms of some folks. You know, just like some people tout America first as a reason to abandon NATO, the UN, or other institutions, I know it's tempting, right, to be intimidated by growing Asian American or Latino communities, or to fixate on anti-Black sentiment among some individuals within these communities. And it's tempting to write off folks who are currently feeling cultural anxiety and racial antagonism here, right? It's tempting. But I'm suggesting to you that we have an important role to play in envisioning and creating this multiracial democracy and economy that works for all. And we just need to step up into that role here. So thanks again for being on this journey with me and with us as a team with the Joint Center over the last 10 years. Thanks for the recognition. You know, I look forward to the many contributions and the future growth of the Joint Center over the next 10 years. Dedrick, thanks so much. Appreciate you. Yeah.
And I just want to say again, I'm thankful to follow Spencer, because I had a list of people I was supposed to recognize, but that was taken care of. He's recognized, I think, but everyone to recognize. Do just want to note that we have these little table tents in there with, what is this called, QR codes? With QR codes, we're definitely, one of the things we are looking for in 2025 is trying to diversify our funding base, trying to really have connections with individual donors, corporate donors. So, please, utilize that, take a picture, become more regularly connected to us as we look to build out on what Spencer has laid such a strong foundation. I will ask the board members and staff to come up for pictures. Everyone else to please continue to mingle. We'll be joining you in a few minutes after we get some pictures. But thanks everyone for coming out and making tonight so special. Thank you very much.